Today is the Facilities Committee, January 22nd. It's at 6:10 p.m. Committee members are Mike Wolf, Aaron Durso, from the administration, Lawrence Small, Casey Blankenbiller. Casey, you want to take us through your...
All right. I'll just go hop around here a little bit. GSA update discussion. They continue to be understaffed. They are supposedly have 5 people in the pipeline to bring on to fill vacancies throughout the school district. I'll believe it when I see it. I'm told a lot of things by them. It's just been a very frustrating process the last couple of months. To the point of, got a phone call today at the bowling match saying they're out of air filters. And I asked, 3 weeks ago, Lauren? 4 weeks ago for a list, and he said they were good. And guess what? I knew they weren't, in quantities. And, now we have guys that were changing filters, ran out of filters, so now they got to go on to something else, kind of thing. So, just simple things like that, he's not following up on, and just multiple things. So
who's he?
Jamie Silverthorne, who's the on-site manager.
Okay. Now, I'm new to this. Can I ask a couple questions?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
With GCA, what is their contract? Is it a multi-year or is it a year-to-year?
We're in the second year of a 3-year contract,
Okay.
and it has 3 dimensions: custodial, maintenance, grounds.
Okay.
And they're required to provide this many hours of each
Okay.
venue each month. So when their invoice comes, they're required to provide supporting documentation for labor. So what Casey's saying about the shortfall, I have a spreadsheet that if you want to, I'll come down some.
No.
You come up, I'll show you how I play it out, because they have to have the categories in order to be paid the full contract. Well, I've got it broken down, calculates immediately for me, and in 12 months last year, they shorted themselves about $120,000, which was
Okay.
almost 1 month's. It's about $142,000 a month for all 3 categories. And
just
the
got
other
started.
piece that I constantly am
We just
battling
got
now,
started.
when they don't have manpower, and they'll outsource, and bring in an outsource.
Do we have a clause in there if they're not performing to the district's standards is there an out clause?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Very
Okay.
much so.
We
Very
might
much
not
so.
be there yet. I'm just asking because I don't know.
And we're constantly, with all the snow days and Casey's problems with the cold and keeping the high school warm and all, we haven't met, but I try to have a weekly meeting with this fellow Jamie and Casey, and I say, okay, guys, talk. And they can
Okay.
share their frustrations, and then when the monthly bill comes, I'm fighting with the big shots wherever they are, Pittsburgh, Chicago, you never know where the address is.
Okay.
But this month, for instance, over Christmas, they brought in an outside vendor to do painting in the high school. We'd had ongoing issues with them trying to paint, and they can't paint. Either they don't know how to mask, or Casey, there's horror stories that they've had to redo things.
They just can't paint.
Okay.
Just leave it at that.
So anyway.
They're custodians.
They submit an invoice that they receive from the vendor, and then what they try to do is take their $16.51 labor rate, divide it by that, and say, oh, so they're telling me they had 335 man-hours in 3 days painting. Well, we know that didn't happen, so I don't pay them. I say, show me documentation. Same way with lawn care during the summer. They hire an outside. The fact they want to hire an outside vendor, they have brand new equipment sitting over in our middle school garage, but they don't have manpower to use it. They don't have, some of the guys didn't have driver's license to drive the truck. So I'm constantly fighting them on their labor submissions, and part of it is just the fact that they're not staffed.
Mhm.
And then they try to play games with us. They'll pull a custodian, put them in the higher paid maintenance category. Casey will say no. And now, see, they've pulled the swap now so that this guy that's been on maintenance is our custodian in this building in
Yeah.
middle school.
So how do we fire a shot across the bow? Like,
Oh, we've been doing that, so.
so do we
it's
just go
getting
out for new
closer.
quotes?
Well, if we were to break it, we only got 1 quote when we put the RFP out.
Right.
It was on the thing is, I would have rather have piecemealed it between buildings, but it was sent out as a all or nothing,
Okay. All right.
So you're guaranteed to just get one of the
Right.
big players.
But they,
Have Mr. Bucky Scott joined us at 6:15.
Hi, Mr. Bucky Scott. All right, thanks for I just asking questions.
Yeah, and the way it works too is I supply all their parts to make sure they're buying good quality parts. I supply their paint, but they supply like the paint brushes, their rollers, their ladders, and their tools to do the job. But I supply the parts.
Okay.
The painting job Lawrence, mentioned is they were asked to repaint the stage floor. So I went and got them the paint, got them the filler for all the gouges and stuff like that. Never asked them to sand it down to bare wood and start all over. That's what the contractor did when they came in. They came in and did a full sanding and a full paint. It looks wonderful, don't get me wrong, but there's not 335 man hours in that, kind of thing. So, and they did some offices and that kind of
Did
stuff.
some repair of the hardwood on the stage as well.
I had filler for them, yeah.
No, but didn't they cut out the section and replace it? That's what Don told me. He said they really did it.
They did a nice job, don't get me wrong. They did a very nice
But-
job, but
Here again, they would like to get full credit for the dollars. I said,
Right.
just because you're hiring $40 an hour people, they paid landscaper last year to salt sidewalks for $85 an hour. And I said, no.
That's the only one I see Birdsboro Elementary. I always just see the landscaper doing all the work. I never see anyone from.
Doing the mowing, and I think they hired him for salting the sidewalks.
all
See, they're
that's what
responsible.
they did last year.
Yeah.
That's what they did,
I mean, he's
last
on it.
year.
I watch him from my window. I mean, they're
Yeah.
definitely on it, but.
But
Yeah,
anyway,
we have a little bit of history. Before we started entertaining whether we're going to go with GCA before the vote, I called, and I can't remember, Quakertown, my opposite number there, and I said, hey, I know you have experience. I heard, from what I could read on the newspaper, it wasn't a good experience in the beginning. What has happened? He goes, well, put it this way, it's better to, they've gotten better after they've replaced the manager that kind of ran the whole thing. Well, we wound up with that person, unbeknownst to us. We wound up with the person that failed there,
Right.
failed here for the first year. Now, Jamie's been in here since what, like
he came in
June,
April, May. He
yeah.
came in just before the end of.
No,
Okay.
he's supposed to, he
He
was
didn't last
supposed to be
full
better
year.
credentialed and, be, at least understand, like Casey, if he's the expert, then he's down, he's down a couple notches, but at least supposedly this is what he did. He came from a custodial background.
Okay.
He's going to school to be, business management. So we were hopeful that this person would be more in the trenches, be able to turn it around. But it's
actually
a staffing.
He's actually worse, believe it or not.
Communication is terrible with
It's
him.
hard, it's absolutely
And
horrible.
You're making me wanna force to go out, and split up, maybe Mike's onto something. I'd support him in that. And yeah, just so you guys know, my theory is if it's not working, you get rid of it. Every
This guy,
contract
Mike
has an
Burns,
out, and if it doesn't,
still
then
here?
you,
Mike is not here as much as he was. They brought a guy from New York down to kind of, who's their last manager, to kind of straighten things out. Jamie's still on site. Mike's kind of over him and was reporting back to Chad and to Reginald, who's down in Virginia. That's the
I haven't
guy.
seen Reginald
That's the
in
guy
6
from
months.
Virginia. So it's just it's more of just a sheer communication thing. Every week I was asking for filters. Copy Lauren on almost every email now, so that the email chain is there. And when I got the phone call today, I was not surprised. And Mike Marino says, "Well, where are the filters?" I said, "Well, Jamie didn't tell me what you guys needed." I kind of figured that's what it was. I mean,
Yeah.
so it's just it's been a process. We'll call it that.
all right.
So.
I appreciate the background.
Yeah,
Thank
no
you.
problem. I'll wait for, high school heat and issue discussion update, we'll hop down to there. So, I'm not sure who all got emails, phone calls, whatever, regards to the high school, after Christmas break. Kind of give you a little chain of events. Had the building shut, turned back for the holiday break. Started the system up roughly 10, 11 o'clock Monday. Be New Year's Day, to try to get the system to catch up, knowing I was going to have some issues trying to get the building to catch up. Monitored it all day. Tuesday morning, once it became occupied and everybody was in there, doors being open, everything, the system the way that system is, the new part of the high school is water source heat pumps. So we have hot water boilers on the wall that make domestic hot water. So they make your hot water for your sinks, toilet, sinks and showers. That goes to a storage tank. Out of that storage tanks, there's a set of pumps that goes to a heat exchanger. That heat exchanger is what tempers the loop for my heat pumps.
Okay.
Ideally, you want 80 degrees, 70 to 80 degrees for your heat pumps. We were down to 51, 50, 48. Once it hits about 52, 53, the heat pumps themselves will shut off. The water is too cold because the programming in the heat pump thinks it's freezing. It is what happens. Therefore, I can't get heat. The problem was I couldn't heat that loop up anymore. As fast as I was putting heat in that loop, whatever heat pumps were running were sucking the heat right out of it. So I had probably 12 to 15 units that I could sporadically run during the day. Literally sat all day Tuesday staring at the laptop and kind of going through every floor at a time trying to turn units on and stuff. Tuesday night, was watching it, ended up coming in at 9 o'clock Tuesday night and ripped the heat exchanger out, flushed it because of the bad water we have here, the mud that's in the water on the domestic hot water side. Flushed it. Two guys from GCA came in, give me a hand. Heat exchangers, yay by.
You getting mud in the water?
Iron fall. We don't soften the water in the high school. That's another
You
discussion.
shouldn't have to.
We have a lot of iron fallout, a ton of iron fallout in the water.
Birdsboro.
No, it's got to be. The only time you get high iron would be like August, and it would only be for a 30-day period where we have iron and manganese issues.
Well, I can tell you, I now have to flush the water heaters every week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to send our water guys up.
What's that?
I'll send Brian or somebody up to take a look at it and see what's going on, because
Yeah, that's fine.
that shouldn't be.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I thought, but like I said, we have, there again, they've never, the hot water storage tank wasn't opened until last year, and that tank's been in 20 years. So I had it open, took us 2 days,
Yeah, flush it out.
to clean it out, and the system got contaminated. That was a whole fiasco. It took about 5 months for the system to calm down. But anyway, so I flushed it out, got it back together. Wednesday morning, I was down to about 3 or 4 classrooms that were not running. Some were maintaining about 66, 68 degrees, but at least the heaters were running, and we had heat. By the end of the day, Wednesday, we ended up turning up the water heaters to 130 to try to get a higher discharge out of them. Luckily, they were able to do that after we flushed them all. We had some that weren't working just due to flow issues because of the mud. Got everything up and running. By the end of the day Wednesday, we were up and running, and we were fine. The systems aren't designed for an extreme cold like that. I mean, we were down for a week, and now we're trying to come back up when the outside temperature is 8 degrees and 6 degrees outside. They're just not designed for it. And with the wind, once the wind stopped blowing, we caught right up. It was amazing, and we could actually watch. I could actually watch the wings of the high school catch up, and I could tell which way the wind was blowing. Because that west side was just absolutely freezing. Could have I started Saturday or Sunday? Yeah. Did I think I'd have that big of a problem? Absolutely not. It was just one of those things. I literally did everything. Every trick I have in the book, I was pulling. I mean, I had, on Tuesday night, I had every wing cycling every 3 hours. I had them 3 hours on, 3 hours off, and they were alternating, trying to get at least half the building to kind of heat up a little bit and kind of rotate through and try to strategically have the areas that weren't in the wind trying to heat up and trying to keep some things. Actually, I ran some units that had been turned off since I've been here, some makeup air units. I sat there Wednesday night and turned them on for the first time because the graphics were finally fixed, so I could actually see what the units were doing. And believe it or not, 507 fired up and we're blowing hot air, and that's what ended up helping me get up to where it had to be. But the controls were jumped out in years past, and Trey and I just never got to that part of it because we never had to have it, because we never had these extreme colds. Now we have it all set up that at 20 degrees or less, these units come on and now you can see what they're doing. You know, before I couldn't tell if they were firing or not because I could not see my supply air temperature change. It just was a set point. Now I can actually see, okay, my legit supply air is 50 degrees, burner fires, and now my supply air goes up to 110. Now I know at least my burner's running. You know, the graphics will say the burner's running, but when I'm at my home, I'm not on the roof, you know, kind of thing. So, so they're all up and running now. We got the two that weren't working, we got up and running. So now we're kind of where we need to be. It was more of a controls and a graphic issues that just was not maintained for years past. So,
You add that to your PM cycle?
yep, just another one, another item on the list.
You
So-
know, and obviously we learned, and next year.
Yeah,
And
It's
that,
that way.
that was, I mean, I can't remember that stretch of cold
It's the
around
first
here in a
time
long time.
38 years,
Yeah, and that
the
high
one-
school has so much glass in it.
yeah,
You know, it's,
Like you
So-
said, the wind.
the wind was just
Yeah.
brutal.
We
It goes right through those windows.
We had 8 main breaks and probably 300-meter freeze up, so and that was just,
Yeah,
I mean, it was all over the place. Everyone was having trouble.
Yeah.
I mean, we couldn't keep up either.
yeah. So, you know, Aaron knew, Aaron knew what was going on. I was keeping him and Preston in the loop saying, listen, you know, here's the classrooms I cannot get the units to run. The controls are keeping it out. There's nothing I can do. And you know, so, you know, Pottsgrove School District sent one call out to their parents saying, have your kids dress warmer for Wednesday. Because they could not keep their high school above like 66 degrees, I think it was.
But it's definitely something identified, and
yeah.
if the same thing happens next year, we just
Now we
come
know.
sooner and turn
Now
it
we
on.
know. And now we have, like I said, we turned the domestic boilers up to 130. We still have the tank set where it needs to be set, but at least my recovery's quicker.
Right.
Because I'm at least, you know, and before we didn't know how to do that. They were always preset at 120. So we sat there and read the books and said, hey, we can turn these things up, kind of thing. So, so that's that. MEC gym lights. This has been brought up a couple times, just kind of update. The MEC gym lights have a 10 bulb or 9 bulb compact fluorescent fixture. And the way it works is 25%, 2 bulbs are lit, 50%, I think it's 6 bulbs or 5 bulbs. It's 2, 5,
You only have 2 left.
yeah, it's 2, 5, or it's 2, 4, I think it might be 2, 4, 6, 9. I forget exactly how it is. But there's 3 ballasts in the fixture, 9 or 10 bulbs, I forget exactly what it is. But they don't work. Just, they no longer work. And to rebuild them is going to be extremely expensive. The switches on the walls don't work, half of them don't work. So instead of spending a lot of money on rebuilding them, I had one price on LED fixtures that we can dim. So they'll have a full range dimmer for LEDs. So I'm waiting for those prices. Actually, we just had our Berks County Facility Managers meeting last week, and the vendor was there, and he said, I can probably get you 10 or 15% more off of that because the price of LEDs have gone down considerably.
Can we get credit through?
We can get credit through Med-Ed.
Yep.
So, and Med-Ed has a lot of money yet for that per program. So, so it's something I'll bring up again once he can. You know, I'm going to give it another month or two, and get pricing and see how much our
why do we need to have dimmable lights?
Because there's a stage there.
Okay.
There's a
Yeah,
stage.
okay.
Same as Amity.
Yeah.
Does Amity have any?
Amity has a stage on the gym set.
On the gym and the cap side.
I'm-
But we don't
I'm-
have the ability to dim
Yeah,
those.
yeah.
We don't have the ability. It's just, they have that ability there, they really don't use it. I was up in those fixtures, and the other part is too, the sockets on these fixtures are starting to get very hard and brittle. As you're trying to take bulbs out, some of the sockets are starting to break. So we're kind of that's why nobody uses this type of fixture anymore.
Because the heat probably
The
killed
heat,
the
yeah.
plastic.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, the nice part is that's a wood ceiling with wood beams. We would just use stainless steel aircraft cabling kits that they sell to hang the fixtures. So if there's balls hit them, they'll swing. It's not like we're gonna have a fixture that's fixed in position that's gonna get destroyed. And you're talking K through 2 that's in there, so,
These are on surface mounts that are recessed.
yeah, they all hang.
That's got
No, they're all hanging off of a rod now, so.
Do you have an idea of what our payback is? Like what's
That
the 0
payback's
point?
probably gonna be 3 or 4 years, just because of the sheer hours it's only used.
Yeah,
It's not
it's
used,
still
but
not bad.
it's still not a bad payback. It's just, but the payback's definitely not what it was.
Because the
to high
LED
school.
lights you're going to get hundreds of thousands of hours out of them
Yeah.
versus,
Yeah, so right now, it's about $6,200 for 20 fixtures
But that's.
with hardware, not installed. So we would just install them. Huh?
But he's
And
gonna-
he feels like he can do a lot better than that as the LED prices have come down.
Now, did we complete AEC? We're done gym and cafe.
No, we did not do the gym, we only did the calf over there.
You guys can install them, or is
Yeah.
there another price?
Yeah,
tag?
we can install those.
you just have to rent a
Just
lift.
rent a
and-
lift.
Yeah.
GCA
I said
and me,
we-
and me. They'll be on the ground, I'll be up in the lift. It's a whole lot quicker that way.
Are you using the harness I got for you up there?
Yes.
Harness? I don't fall under OSHA.
That's not the right answer.
you fall in.
I got you.
And your workers' comp, the workers' comp insurance doesn't want
I,
to hear that either.
I got you guys a great Miller harness,
I know, it's here.
You should wear it.
adjustable.
If I'm up on a boom lift, I wear them. On the platform lifts, I usually don't, just because,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
you don't want to be saying that on
Yeah,
there.
but anyway.
So, I guarantee the workers' comp company doesn't want to hear that.
I'm just asking, and no big deal. I'm not pushing. I think you should go the new way. But what's the repair cost then?
The repair cost is about the same. About the
Oh,
same. The
then
bulbs are
no-brainer.
about $28 a piece.
Oh, I would. Yeah.
Yeah.
okay.
So my
It's about
repair
the same.
my repair cost is actually probably gonna be a little more, and especially time wise, because where the ballasts are is
Got
just. I know my fat hands don't fit in there too easy.
Yeah.
So
I think
um,
it's,
yeah, sorry, I should.
So you
Put it out like
have,
that.
so it's $6,200 for the for 20 fixtures, and you still have to
We
get
got
labor
a lift
costs.
rental and GCA's.
So you will
yeah,
come
so you're
back at
probably
some point and
looking-
give us a
yeah.
project cost?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Just a project list update. I'm just going to kind of go right down this list. I have CJ Thomas, or SJ Thomas, who did our bathrooms, coming in to look at a lot of these. So I'm just going to kind of go down through them really quick. First one is a pole barn to possibly have built up on the Macadam area above the football stadium. To store all of the track pads and that kind of stuff. There would be a garage door on each end, so it'd be a pass-through. It would make life a whole lot easier to store everything we need for the football team, track, and everything up in that pole barn. The Macadam's already there. It would be a matter of just getting a pole barn around it.
Where are you,
Stuff would last longer.
where are you talking? Trying to
It's
picture.
up above the visitor side bleachers, up on that flat up there.
Oh,
where
yeah,
the-
yeah,
Where the
yeah.
old
Yep.
pole
Yep.
bowling pad was. I'm assuming that's pole bowling because it
Yeah.
has
Yeah,
the runway
Yeah,
and the
that and the high
pit.
jump.
Yeah. So that's one thing we're going to look at.
stuff's just rusting. Like when you go up there and you look at the football equipment that's only 5 years old, sleds, they're not designed to just be out in the weather like that, and they're rusting, and they're just gonna go bad. So if they had somewhere that we could store it in there, all the track pads,
The
it's just
hurdles
gonna
are,
last longer.
Hurdles
hurdles are
and
taking a
Hurdles.
beating.
Now, is this going to replace that shed that you had?
Yes, yes.
what was the dimension? It was 100 by 60. I think when we walked
I
it
thought it was
that day.
50 by 75.
Is that what it was?
I thought it was 50,
Call
like,
Pioneer.
away
I'm
from...
going to call them too. I just
Yeah,
this is just a list of
Some of the Mennonite ones are pretty good too, out right?
yeah. So
Pioneer,
Well, as long as it can be secured,
and it would.
because
And
I
we
mean,
would.
that's,
Yep.
don't they have people breaking into the shed down there, beating it up, and
Not too much anymore. The concession stand, we haven't had any issues there for almost a year.
Just light it up.
So, and we would have to, we would run power up there and we'd have lights and, that kind of stuff, so. High school entry sidewalks, this is just a continuation of the sidewalk project we did last year, where we did it along the parking lot. This would be the sidewalks that go into the school. Remember, we didn't do those parts. We patched a lot of it. He's gonna get me a number. They're not a necessity. It would be very nice to have them done, but it's not a necessity at this point. The one thing we're definitely gonna have to look at doing is doing sill work and the concrete stoops at all the doors. They're starting to push really bad. I think some of the dowels are busted, if there's even dowels in the pads. But we would need to lower those stoops a little bit, and maybe make them just flat and get the sills down about a quarter of an inch or so and redo the sill work.
Because right now, when
Right
doors
now,
don't
it's
close, I gotta call
sledgehammers.
Casey, and someone comes over with a sledgehammer and beats on the bottom of the door until the door will close.
Yeah, we
And the
just
reason we
flatten
find
the
it is
sill
because
until
people
it
walk
closes.
out, and then the door hits, like you hear that metal sound hit, and whoever's leaving assumes the door closed, and then the next morning M&G's finding the door. It didn't close, it just hits that sill and stops, and it doesn't latch.
It says frost heave because of the
Yeah, I mean,
intense
the sill's
And actually, the concrete underneath is actually starting to fail also from all the years of them taking sledgehammers that flatten these things. The one we had to do was the
door tab.
one at door 10, the one at the annex, and literally he took the sill out. It was just stones underneath. It was just concrete stones. It was just shot. So
This is the main entrance of the high school?
this is
all of them.
annex
Oh,
annex side, the old
Yeah.
side.
Yeah, the old side.
If you're getting that much frost heave, there must be moisture, so.
Yeah, this
The
is this is the
drainage.
old side.
Maybe you want to address drainage too.
Yeah, and that's what we wanted to look at, either do a big French drain underneath it, trying to somehow do it that way. The middle school is the same thing. We have issues there with heaving of the sidewalks, especially at the cafeteria and the science labs, the science wings. They can't open sometimes those outside doors. And the door in the hallway at the cafeteria, we've ground that now twice. And this year they couldn't open it again when it got really cold. So that's another one. High school parking lot, crack sealing and space painting. There again, that would be a summertime project, so we're working on that.
Excuse me, did we get any of that done last year?
We did not do any crack sealing all last year.
Because
We had it in the capital, but we didn't do
Yeah.
anything.
we had it in all buildings.
Yeah, last summer didn't really, kind of, a lot of
Good
things
thing with
didn't
that
really
too
happen.
is there's so many
Ours is-
companies. You should get some good quotes coming out.
Yeah.
Before it was only a
I
handful
guess.
and prices
Yep.
were
You'll
running
be all
high.
set.
No, yeah.
Amity Elementary sidewalk replacements, the rear of Amity Elementary at the cafeteria. That is, I almost forgot another project here. That has pushed and heaved. That section of concrete takes forever to melt. So we definitely have moisture underneath that one pretty bad because that goes with the cafeteria floor. We had moisture samples taken in the caf floor over Christmas break. About all floors did it. Before they drilled the hole, they took a moisture reading. After they drilled the hole, the moisture reading went up because now the moisture had somewhere to push to. So that's why that floor, if you've been in Amity's cafeteria, the closer you get to the outside window wall, the more the adhesive is actually coming up between all the tiles. So now that we have where our moisture is, they're going to get a proposal together about removing the VCT and either just polishing the concrete, just come in and grind it and polish it, or put a mastic down and then put the different type of floor tile down and stuff like that. So they're going to work on a couple scenarios for that.
Well, if you've got it stripped out and you're working on the outside, want to get rid of the moisture under the floor.
And that would be part of the,
Put some channels in and,
because he said that when they drilled the holes, there wasn't a whole lot of stone underneath the concrete. So he thinks they just backfilled it, rolled it, put a little bit of stone on top of whatever dirt was there, and then poured the concrete. So,
dig a
You know.
couple cut a couple channels, you
Yeah.
know what you gotta do.
yeah, so like I said, with you guys, the new facility committee, I figure we'll kind of give you the list now and, so as you hear. Middle school ductwork installation was in the same condition as the high school. That is wrapped with like a Carlisle roofing product. It has some leaks, and now it looks like a potbelly pig in spots because all the water got to the bottom, and now the insulation is just stretched out. We did the high school as part of the roof project. So those are done. That's crack sealing. High school stairwell handrails. That's been an ongoing thing. They painted them last year, which the paint was not going to hold, and it did not hold. They need to be replaced with aluminum handrails. That way you don't no longer have to worry about the painting. Some of the handrails are not quite ADA. The elevation at the one landing is different than the elevation at the bottom. They're off like an inch and a half at some spots, so we would reset all of them at the right heights and
You
the
have
whole
the quote
9
on
yards.
that. You have the quote on that.
I have a quote on that, so,
You'd want to try to get more than,
yeah,
when,
kind of things are. High school front entrance, concrete and handrail. There's a couple spots in the main entrance of the high school that we have some really big cracks that go all the way across. The handrail has busted out on the one side. So if we're going to reset handrails, we ought to replace some concrete and make the pads a little bit wider so the handrails aren't just in the edge kind of thing, that there's some more beef around them. So that's when we're going to look at the front entrance here at the at admin building. That front entrance is falling apart. It's been patched multiple times. That's one. The admin side entrance stairs and railings. So it would be the ones along Weavertown Road. If you walk out there, you'll see the foundation blocks are starting to fail. There's some nice big holes in there. This winter really opened up some of them as well. And there's sidewalks that have voids underneath the sidewalks that just have settled over time with moisture getting in them. That's that one. There's also the fake bricks that they have around the facade on the outside have gotten moisture behind them and have busted off. So we're gonna have to fix those, and there again the moisture got into the block underneath and has eroded the face of the block a little bit. So that's just another one. We have windows at the high school that are under warranty. We have the windows, we just have to get multiple prices to replace them. I forgot about this project, to be honest with you.
It's the Great Boys deal.
Yes, that's the Great Willis thing. I just flat out forgot. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. I just forgot to get their pricing. So they're going to come in and look at that. Then the other big project is AEC and the middle school, the downspouts. The downspouts go inside the walls, between the block wall and the brick facade. They have frozen in the past, or have separated in the past, to the point where I don't know what has happened to them, but they've failed. There's multiple ones that run on the outside of the building. We had 2 that we just did last year at the middle school. So my thought is to actually just eliminate what's in the wall, patch those blocks and close those holes up. We have enough brick and stuff like that. Just run downspout down the outside and then tie it back into the rain leader that's in the ground. Because right now they're just dumping across the ground. They got to mow over them and stuff like that. So I had a company up to look at it. They're kind of waiting to see what I come back with, because there's a couple that go in walls that now are dumping on other roofs. So we have to kind of get up on the roof and figure out how we want to run like a header across the roof and evenly disperse the water. Like at the middle school entrance, the front entrance, if you notice that one side's always washed out by the entrance. Well, that's because the downspout that's above, the downspout from the roof above the gym separated or broke. Now they have it just dumping on the roof above the office. Well, that gutter system can't take away the water, so it just washes over. So we just have to get up there and kind of figure out what we can and what we can't do.
So how many of those would still be behind the facade?
Oh, about 60. And we have about 10 or 12.
First
that
year
are-
I was here, Rob was still principal. It broke loose on the inside, destroyed the wall, destroyed textbooks.
Yeah, it's not made, I mean, it's,
No.
it'd be, yeah, if you're in the
Same
south,
architect did both
that
buildings.
works. but-
Mhm.
Put it behind the facade. I mean, I'm an old farmer, I'm sorry. Get that water off the roof.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like,
You don't bring it back inside.
there's a couple spots where there's two of them that go in the wall side by side, like this one is separated, this one's not. Well, if we're gonna run a downspout, we're gonna have to grab both, kind of thing. So, I was gonna wait till this winter was over and then really kind of walk the buildings, draw a map out and look at the drawings that we have to see maybe where the rain leaders go, because right now we're not exactly sure on some. And, so we're gonna have to dig and kind of hunt. But there's going to be sidewalk repairs involved. There's going to be shrubbery involved. So, that's another one of those projects, if we want to go out to public bid possibly and just lump them all together, or do it under a KPN contract or a CoStarz contract or, however you guys want to do that.
You're
So,
not sure where they're coming out after they enter into
yeah,
the ground drain?
yeah, because I've found some pictures over at Amity and like the one goes in the wall. It's a picture before they put the brick on, and the line goes all the way over about 30 feet and then goes down. So I'm not sure exactly where some of them are per se. So what I would end up probably doing is I'd bring up somebody like Captain Clog, or that has the logo locator on their jet end, and more or less jet the drain line, and then we could paint out where the lines are at.
You
So
access that storm line underground, find where it is, and then bring a gutter company in. And
Right.
cut it in and get her
Right.
done.
yeah, because right now there's just 3-inch PVC run up the wall and with perforated strapping, and it just dumps across either sidewalks or whatever. So, and some are just dumping onto other roofs, and there again we're having issues
Makes
with
the other ones
with
work harder because they're
yeah.
not made for that much flow.
yeah. So that's the project list. That's kind of the big dollar items that you'll be hearing more of as we move along here.
That
So
downspout one's gonna be expensive.
yeah. The one thing that's not on here, and I just thought of it, January 30th, I go to a meeting at the BCIU for the natural gas procurement. It's purchased, this is the 30th, right, Lauren? Yeah,
Sent
30th.
you the-
It's 30th, yeah. So Mark Nalen, who was the business manager at Mifflin, used to buy all the gas, used to manage the buying of the gas through the BCIU for the entire county. Mark Nalen has since retired. So now Provident Energy is being the broker on behalf of the BCIU. So and Direct Energy is who they're buying the gas through at this point in time. They've worked out a deal. Now, Provident's still going to go out and solicit other pricing, but based on multiple scenarios, Direct Energy will probably be the gas provider for the BCIU. The meeting's the 30th. With this cold spell, the pricing may not be in our favor, the county's favor, so they may not be signing a contract at that point in time. But I'll have more information to bring back to Lauren and Kathleen if they can't make the meeting. Just so you know, that was just more of an FYI, because we did our electric for 2 years, so this is the next one. So
Now, does the electric go through them too? Or
no, we did the electric directly ourselves with
Who was
Direct
your
Energy.
vendor that you just
We just went with IGS.
Send over those rates. I want to compare them because you have the rates and you have the pass-through. And
Yeah.
Yeah, see, this is, they buy it, so you're not paying that pass-through. We found a little bit of savings with them, and it's all market-driven, you know that too, so. I'll give you the contact, because our contract wasn't up, but the rates were good enough that we chose to go in and lock it in now, because it was like I think it was a 2.5 cents.
Direct was
Savings
on
or
top of the heap last year. Provident was bidding direct. Was working.
Yeah, there's a whole.
I'll give you the contact, and you can reach out to him.
Yeah, Jim said you'd contact
Yeah.
him. I said, give me the information.
And that's hit or miss too, I mean, it's just market-driven.
Yeah, you just catch the right day, and so that one's that one. And then the other two items, the BEC update discussion and the viability. I think Mike Moore, you guys can discuss if we want to discuss it kind of on the facility side, or however.
Yeah, well, the immediate need, and the one I feel we don't have a choice in, we gotta keep that building from, I mean, the expansion is going out instead of up and down. And regardless of what we do, we got to protect that building. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
we can't have that deteriorate. So that's my personal opinion.
No,
But that's a project, I think, I mean, we have to maintain that building.
Yeah, because regardless, it's always.
Yeah, you can't have it falling apart. I mean, you got a brand-new roof, and the roof is new, and
Yeah.
got brand-new boilers. So some of the tickets are,
Bunch of new doors.
Bunch of new doors, yeah,
yeah, a bunch of new doors.
yeah. So,
Yeah, I mean, I think we all know that that's going to be hashed out in
yeah.
when we get that study back, if that vote goes through.
Right. Yeah, like I said, I, you know, just so you all know, I really haven't spent hardly anything on that building in the last, you know, year and a half, 2 years, because I knew where we were headed. It's gonna need some stuff, you know, if we plan on using it for anything. You know, just to keep it, even if it's shuttered, just to keep it viable,
Right.
and keep it, you know, a good heating system in it, you know, we're gonna need to spend a couple bucks. Not anything huge, but, you know, it's gonna take some dollars just to, you know, replace a pump here, pump there kind of thing. You know, some of them have some bearing noises that are starting to get pretty loud, and, you know, we're greasing them weekly just to kind of keep them quiet, but, you know, we're gonna have some stuff.
That's a good segue into your last item,
Well,
the viability of a phased environmental control.
Well,
upgrade.
and that one you can definitely, you know, you can definitely do that building in phases.
Well, I asked Casey about this because, you know, I asked Mr. Thompson about it, and, you know, not that he was trying to avoid, I don't think he knew. I mean, that's not his specialty as, you know, the HVAC systems, mechanicals are in Casey's wheelhouse. And I asked, because it's a big ticket item to replace the whole school at one shot. So I asked, could you do a phased approach, even per classroom if you had to? And, you know, Mr. Thompson, he didn't know. But, you know, Casey, I won't steal your thunder.
You can definitely do it. It would just take some logistics, because I think when you're pulling the wire, I think you would pull all the wire at one time, because that's just, you're going to save a lot of time doing that. Whether you use it or not right away for the controls, at least it would be in the ceilings. And then you could very easily do floor by floor or area by area, you know, replace the ventilator here, replace the ventilator there. The only thing is, you wouldn't want to space it out too long of a period over too many years, because you could get, the manufacturer could definitely change your equipment design, and now you have one set for this floor and then another set for that floor. Now that's usually over a good 5 or 6 year span, but, you know, I think you could definitely do this over a 3 or 4 year period, pick a floor a year and kind of have at it. You know, some of the units could be retrofitted, leave the units in place, the gym units. You know, those units could be left in place and just put electronic control valves in, you know, and put controllers on it, because the air handler's in good shape. You know, replace the actuators with dampers and stuff like that. So, you know, I think if the board decides that they're gonna use the building for, let's say, a YMCA, and they're gonna use, let's just say, the office and the end to the gym to the cafeteria, you know, you could do that area at one time on a control side and equipment side, and do it that way. And then as you start to use it, or if you're going to bring one class back in and use the first floor, you would have to dehumidify that first floor and then replace the AC units, kind of thing. So it's definitely an option. You lose a little efficiencies on staff just being there and ripping out all at one time and installing all at one time, but it's definitely something you can phase. We did that at Kutztown. We had when I had my business, we had a whole building that had 98 ventilators that they wanted to change out. And we did over 3 summers. You know, we went in, did about 30 or 40 each summer, new controls, new wiring, the whole 9 yards, you know, because they said we only want to spend this much each year on that building. So really that was over a 2 year span. It was 3 summers, but really it was a two calendar years. So what we did was we made sure the manufacturer was not going to be changing their design. So we talked to the manufacturer and said, hey, is this design anything you're going to be changing anytime soon? And they said, absolutely not. You know, that's our standard. That's what's going to work. We're like, cool. You know, if we can, you know, because the college had us price it accordingly. You know, like, hey, if we're going to do this over 3 summers, what efficiencies are you gonna have? I said, well, I'll build all the subframes at one time. I had 98 wood subframes I had to build. I had 98 back plates I had to build, but while I was setting the jigs up, it was easier to build 98 of them, and they just paid ahead of time, kind of thing. So, it would be a little more planning, to do it in phases, but you can, without a doubt.
Yeah, because, I don't know if we can attack the whole project all at one time, but it was nice to hear that, especially what happens is, regardless, if the enrollment starts to turn around, we see the need for, the building to be open, or, we go to full-day kindergarten, whatever the decisions are made, you're going to have a couple years head start to see that coming, and you try to get it done with all our other maintenance needs. If not, well, then you got to reach out and, finance it a different way. But
We're keeping our costs low.
I had one last thing that I thought of. The traveling wall. I saw some questions going back between, I guess, the Legion and Jim. And is that all squared away? Or
I believe
It's coming.
So, yeah.
It's coming.
so everyone has all the information they need, and
That's what I was told. so.
I'm supposed to, they have a meeting the 23rd. You know nothing about
This
it.
is
I
the
didn't
this is
fill
the
you in on this.
Does
Vietnam.
it have anything to do with me?
I saw.
There's a
Not really.
Vietnam traveling.
I'm sure it's going through because I saw emails with the information.
There's a traveling wall, Vietnam wall.
Okay.
That's coming. It's
The
going to be at the high
Legion
school.
has it, and it's either going to be in
July
the
5th to
The
9th.
Legion, what,
annex.
Birdsboro?
Yeah, it's either going to
I'm
be
sure
in the
both
annex
will be
parking
fine.
lot or the main lot, the week after
Yeah, July
the
5th and 9th.
carnival. So we'll have the carnival will be cleaned up, and then they're going to come in and set up.
The
So,
carnival at the middle school?
Carnival at
High
high school.
The Blazer
The
Days.
Blazer Foundation.
Okay.
Yeah.
First week of July.
Yeah,
I think they,
Yeah.
As a board member, you should be in the dunk tank. You know that. It's
Sure,
your
no, I
automatic.
Do
heard
they
David's
charge?
doing that.
I'll sit in there. You get some money.
but yeah, so
I've
so
done that a few
that's
times.
My wife will throw. She'll pay some good money and watch me get wet.
yeah. So there's a meeting. They signed all the contracts finally. So it's coming. There's a meeting this week or next week at 6 o'clock that they asked me to attend. I don't remember if I can make it or not. I have to check the emails again. But if you went up to the one when Muhlenberg had it last year, the Parks and Rec had it last year. I helped with that, being on the Parks and Rec board. So it was neat to see it come from just an open grass field to having the wall there and stuff like that. It was neat.
Sure, it's a big attraction. I mean,
Oh, it's-
Yeah, and the Legion, well, I think we do the monitoring 24/7 on it.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
yeah. It's
Yeah, it's.
wow.
It's something. I mean, it's
Oh,
you, you see guys that lived that war and were in that war come to that wall, and I mean, I
See
walked
names.
away. I walked away with my daughters a couple times. Like I I don't
Oh,
need
yeah.
to be with that guy. He's it's okay, kind of thing. So, but yeah. So that is coming. They signed. They
So-
officially signed the agreement.
Is that going to be during the week? Like it's open for a whole
Yeah.
week?
Yeah. Yeah, and
If
they'll.
it's in the front of the annex, are we closing the offices at the high school that day, that week? Because it's not like anyone's getting in if there's going to be this many people coming to see
Use the
it.
back door.
It's
Yeah, I mean,
He's working a deal here.
I don't know if it's thousands of people. I mean, when I went to one in Muhlenberg, I went on a weekend, so it was pretty busy. But I don't
Yeah.
know how
Okay.
steady it was throughout the week.
And it's like Muhlenberg had it. You were only able to come during the week. I think 3 till dark. I think it was. So it was the hours were because they actually had like recreation camp set up and the whole night. They had like Vietnam camp set up and they had the old jeeps and they had a lot. They had a lot of things. They had the space over there at the
What
park.
week is
So it's the week after
I think it's the 5th
Blazer
of the
Days.
9th.
It's over the 4th.
Pretty
Yeah,
sure.
it's right around the 4th.
Vacation, July.
Yeah, I call it the wall that heals is actually what they're calling it. So, and then the last thing, the old business, is the high school door hardware rekey project update for you new facility members. As part of GCA's contract, it states that if they lose keys and it is required to rekey the building due to lost keys, it's on them. They had an employee had their house get broken into, a home invasion. And when the person left the home, they took the car keys. He happened to have his high school master key on that key ring. Therefore, they lost the key. Therefore, they're on the hook. we rekeyed and redid hardware in that building over 3 phases, more or less 3 phases, I would call it. It's phase 1, phase 2, and then all the stuff Aaron and I realized we did wrong in phase 1 and phase 2 and just had to move some cylinders around and cores around and stuff like that. So between Aaron's notes, my notes, and stuff, I'm trying to compile an accurate list of where we're at with cores and actually what they all are. And then I'll provide that to GCA. They already have their price at $29,000 for the cores and keys. So, and then they will have to, redo that building. I'm hopefully going to have that finished this week, barring any surprises with weather and stuff like that. So, I plan on getting, because I have about half of it done. I just have to go through and just make sure. There's a couple doors I actually have to pull the cores and make sure what we did, because I have question marks on my sheet as to what I did with them. I just knew we were changing them, but I don't remember what I changed them to. So, but there again, it's about 700 cores that they're going to have to
Who's
change.
picking up that tab?
GCA.
GCA.
And to answer your question, they're not allowed to take keys home.
Right.
But
Well, it's
Say
only
no
my
more.
first meeting. They're not doing too well with me.
29,000 for the core.
Well, you can't expense stupidity.
It was like $7 or $8 grand for
I guess you can, 20.
AG Mara to install them. So,
it's not on us,
Well,
because he's the one who did it last time.
yeah, I did the second phase myself over about 3 days.
So,
Be a reduction in their check somewhat.
sure. Well, yeah.
was that it, Casey? You have anything?
That's it for me. I just,
Any-
I want to kind of give you guys a kind of the grocery list of all the stuff that I've either have been working on, have planned on working on, but some of those items on the project list are definitely not high on the priority list, but that's kind of the grocery list, kind of thing. Water heaters at the high school, I'll put that PO in. We need 2 more up there. We're managing pretty well. But the water heaters at the high school have failed because of the mud and the iron.
Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
I can tell you that's.
We'll send that bill to Birdsboro now that he's
Oh, I
he's told us that
think
there's no
directly
mud.
to him.
Oh,
Must
you-
just pass it
you
right
think
over
so?
him.
I could tell you there's no mud, but we'll figure it out.
Well, it's iron and just solids that are falling out. So whatever's in there is, and there again, it could just be what's being recirculated through the whole
Sure.
system that has been contaminated at one
Has
point
that
in
been
time.
flushed,
Just
the whole
as a general
system?
question about
We've never truly flushed it.
Okay, he's done.
When I
gas
did the tank, we drained it, and then I had chocolate milk coming out of faucets for probably the better part of
Months.
for
That's-
months.
I can tell you,
Still,
it's-
every
we
once in
do
a while,
shut
you turn
down.
the faucet on somewhere, you'll get brown for a few
We're in the
minutes till it
partnership of
flushed out.
Safer Drinking Water. We're up here, DEP's down here,
I understand.
so there's no way.
And the mud's down here.
Well, I just think it's a system flush. But again, if we can help, I'll send the guys up. They'll take a look at it.
Yeah, there's just so much piping, just so many places, and the problem is, you have to dump it, let it sit, and then try to isolate areas and try to flush to those areas. I mean, we had water heaters that we literally took shop vacs and we're trying to suck the stuff out of the bottom because they just didn't bother to do any of that kind of stuff. So,
Just stop for you.
I'm not worried about it because I know.
but there again, it's
we can
20
test
years
it every
of
week.
20 years of them doing nothing to the system. I mean, the storage tank wasn't taken apart, and I had barnacles on the size of my fist.
Take a sample and then get it to me, and we'll run it to our lab,
Okay.
and we can find out. But I'm not saying it because I run the authority. I'm just saying it because I know facts
Right.
are.
No, you're public water.
But-
I mean, I know you got to treat it. Just
But we can run it. We can get it tested and see what's actually going on. and
Maybe it gets
see.
contaminated when it goes into Union Township.
because I know I had it
You guys are in a
tested.
good spot. You're high pressure, so there really shouldn't be any.
No, just kidding.
Yeah,
Just-
I tested-
Gravity, I could see some issues if you were at gravity. But, dude, I know more about water than I really ever thought I would know. So
More than you ever wanted to know, too,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, that and trash lately.
But no, that's about. I mean, that's
Bucky, do you have a question?
I had a question, but I don't know if we just wait till later, but I just had just a general question. I'm not opening this up on the floor here, and I'm just asking. But out of that last meeting, and I think you said Thompson,
Yeah.
was there anything in that whole thing that absolutely, because I'm not trying to go in an agenda here, I'm just asking a general question. Was there anything that he said that needs to be repaired that has to be repaired? Because I got the impression, like he said, we have to get this certain guy to come out and do the concrete. We have to do this and do this. But I didn't hear like, this is absolute before we could reopen the building. Was just a question. Is there something in that, all the things he's checking out? Is there like, is it like you said, we had heating issues, and I'm not really trying to, I'm not even necessarily pushing for it, but I'm just saying,
My personal opinion is the lower level where those bump outs are, that the block has, the corner blocks have busted out, that we now have plywood over. There's a deflection in that beam somewhere, that's causing that. I mean, they can say, and there again, I'm going to be, anti the forensic people. They can say it's brick expansion or whatever, but the only way you're going to bust a corner block, the way they're broken, is by pressure from downforce. If you want to use those spaces, those first floor classrooms on the Adam Street side, that would be something you have to fix. Is the building going to fall down? Absolutely not.
But it's not going to get
I
better.
just meant like when we heard
No,
that
I'm
whole
just saying
spiel.
I'm saying if you're looking at using that space, that would first and foremost be the priority at this point in time. Can you manage it with the heating system the way it is? Yes. Is it ideal? Absolutely not.
I get it, but then again,
I mean, but you can occupy the building. Dehumidification is a priority in that first floor. If you're gonna keep that building open, you are gonna have to put a legit dehumidification system in that first floor rather than dehumidifiers in classrooms, and address that structural issue on the left-hand side.
okay.
That's my personal opinion.
No,
There again, I'm
I'm
not a
not
degree
even.
holding person either.
I know what time it is, so we can stop, but we can talk later, I guess. But it was just because when I heard that whole spiel, I just didn't hear anything. Like he didn't say anything in his spiel, like say, "Hey, X has to be done before the kids could go in there." I didn't hear that. And to your comments earlier about, it seems like our heating. Like I'm not. Again, we talked about it, but the high school issue it has their own issues with the heating system. So I thought I was just.
You're gonna have the access part. I mean, for handicap. I mean, that's.
Okay, maybe there's some
That's
things,
something- yeah, there's some
but
things,
in the big scope.
But you can, if you have it on a floor, I mean, it's a little bit different of a project if you're doing it to support a floor or what
Oh.
have you, to replace a couple of those doors so handicapped kids can get in, or if
Okay.
you break a leg and you're on crutches to get through the door, that kind of thing. But
Well, that-
The
I
water
mean,
heater, if you're going to continue to use it as a school, the water heater will have to be replaced. We have it pretty much banded with steel banding. Actually, is what we ended up doing.
Time for flex tape.
I mean, it's the internal diverters just
Yeah.
the banding that was there rotted off, so we literally had to reband it. But that needs to be done.
whatever that means.
But it's okay to run as it is, and it would probably last another year or two. But that's something that's going to have to be looked at.
Regardless.
Regardless,
Yeah.
Whether it's
Could
open or
break
not.
tonight,
If you're going
Right.
to,
I mean, you want
Except,
to
but it could always break tonight too.
you want to protect the building and
Right.
something like that.
I get it. I just
Yeah.
was asking. I mean, here, we're supposed to vote on something that's going to cost $70,000 to have him
69 now.
tell you
69.
something that maybe he already has on paper within reason. So he's already done this. Didn't he kind of do this already 3 years
Overview
ago?
of all the buildings.
Yeah, Mike.
Yeah.
showed
So
that.
I just meant like that's all. Okay. Anyway, I know what time it is.
It's a good
Oh,
question.
we got
Well, I'll
time.
bring it up later. I don't care. I just was. I
Does,
just didn't necessarily want to like.
Member of the public, Mr. Rathgib,
I'm not saying no.
you have any
Well,
questions?
We can bring it up, but I'd be curious if this Whitmer proposal can be broken out, or that's strictly part of the Thompson deal.
What's,
He included it in his
That's the special guy that can come
That's
out.
the masonry.
That's the
that's
main-
Yeah.
the forensic, yeah.
20,000 for him to come out.
If we're not pressed for time, I guess I would ask a question. Does it hurt us? I don't know anything about Thompson, but does it hurt to get another firm to come in here and give us pricing?
Well, when we went out with an RFP for architectural services a year ago,
Okay.
and we had 3 or 4 responses.
He was the lowest then.
His was very competitive overall, and the fact that he was familiar with our facilities,
Mhm.
we went with him.
Okay.
Did you guys go over GCA and I saw one report where you had a slip and fall at the middle school because of the ice.
Mhm.
And they subcontract the ice.
No, sidewalks are done by their staff.
Oh, I thought
No.
Alter was still doing that.
No, sidewalks are all done Halter's only doing the
I was
macadam,
waiting for the bill.
Was that,
macadam and driveway.
oh, didn't they have Halter do it last year, though?
Yes.
Last year they did,
Because,
but this year
okay.
they have not.
Say if Halter
This
did
year
it,
they
there'd be
have
enough
not.
ice, there'd be enough salt for the next storm.
We are securing.
Yeah, Nate likes his salt.
Yeah.
Because we're working it out.
Unfortunately, we had 2 times where we had the salt because we weren't sure what was happening. Both times we had to plow it off the parking lots.
It said it was a parent film, no?
Well, that
The
happened.
middle
I mean,
school.
yeah.
It was a woman,
Okay.
The middle school one.
Yeah.
She slipped and fell in the middle school. Yeah, she slipped and fell on the ice.
but it was a workman's comp.
Is it an employee?
It was an employee. Yeah, it was an employee.
Okay, so-
Yeah, that
I know I
stinks.
saw
I
it.
wrote that.
Yeah.
They just got
That'll,
Yeah, I have
Few hours
pictures
drive you
somewhere
closer.
in an email of the.
I didn't
The
hear about it,
sidewalk.
but I mean, not like I would necessarily hear about it.
So do we have something in place that, who's supposed to be checking up on their work for making sure they're clearing the,
I do as much as I possibly can, going around to the buildings and checking and that kind of stuff. That one I was told I was taken care of by Mike Marino. So it was one of those that,
was sure that's something maybe the assistant principals could,
well, I was gonna say, if
take a,
there's,
take a
Yeah,
look?
if I see anything, we're out in the mornings. I mean,
Yeah.
at the high school, it's been really good. I mean, we have Mr. Templin, and he's out there, and Jamie, his office is at the high school, so he's been out there a few times. This year's been really good for snow stuff for us. I mean,
Well, it's-
and I was
isn't
even
that
there all the days we closed.
bad, it was
I was
cold, I
there.
guess. But who inspects middle school? You don't have necessarily somebody.
the custodians are responsible, the custodians and the grounds guys are responsible for the middle school. I personally don't go and inspect every building after every storm.
Okay.
I have a question for you, Mr. Small.
Yes, I'm sorry.
GCA's insurance, do they cover slip and fall? So if we got a workers' comp claim that's costing us money, are we allowed to then go on to GCA's
Definitely, we
insurance?
go back after that.
Okay, good.
Yeah, because Shirley has the pictures.
She did get the pictures.
Yes,
I
and
just sent
she
I told
sent
her.
me, the pictures. I didn't look at them yet, but I just know,
No,
I
we
know she went over and she took
There's
pictures.
not that well this year.
Well, if we don't have anything else, we'll conclude the meeting at 7:15.
Beautiful.